texted John to say that there's really not much in the operational part of the budget, but you said there were a couple comments that you wanted to make.
Yes, I'd like to make it. I'd like to really go as quick as you want me to through the slides. I'll be glad to answer any questions, but
Okay.
Just a few little highlights is the only thing I'd let you know.
Perfect.
It could be 5 minutes or whatever time you want to spend on it, and then we'll go right into
Michael,
the capital.
you're co-chairman with the Board of Finance. How fast do you want him to go?
We got, how much time does everyone have? I'm available. So for now, or at least if everyone, I'd love to hear about it, John. It'll be great.
Okay, good.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So very quickly, we think we have a very comprehensive budget that delivers the needs for the New Canaan residents, young to old. Our total budget request is operating budget request is just over 4%, with some minor. I'm starting this AI. I don't know. Somebody requested it.
Yeah, I did. It's easy to take notes. It summarizes the meeting,
Okay, good. Just since I'm the host, I had to start it. So
yeah.
I think it's all set now.
Great.
Okay. So basically our team, very quickly, online sitting with me here, Ryan Restivo, the new park superintendent, is here. We're up at Waveney, and Zach is online from home. But basically, other than that, our team stays the same. So park maintenance, just a few highlights: $2,385,000 and a 4.99% increase. One of the main drivers with that is the Public Works union contract. So most of the men has been finalized. They got just under a 3% raise, which goes into this year. So it's kind of compounding for our budget request for next year too. Meal allowance, there's two drivers in that we've gone up. We started doing litter pickup every morning during the spring and the fall season, which has been working well. But one of the problems we have with the union contract, they get a meal ticket, or they get a breakfast for coming in early. So that was $2,600. And then another $1,221 just for a contract adjustment. During the contract, they were able to receive a little bit more money for their meal. So then the overtime salaries that you can see, the $56.75, that's due to a contract adjustment. We adjusted the overtime request in conjunction with the contract adjustment. So not in your budget packet, but we're going to be asking the Board of Finance to add in an additional $6,896 for the meal tickets and the overtime adjustment. So the only other thing that
is that going to increase it from 4.99 to something higher than that?
No, it should keep it at 4.99. Okay. That the number you see on my screen is with the adjustment in there.
Got it. Okay.
So the other thing we did is under grass treatments, which basically is our fertilizer, et cetera. We removed Capo Field since that will be all synthetic, but we added in the large lawn area at Waveney out behind the house. We've been having problems with little flowers and bees bothering people at concerts, et cetera. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do that. And with that, we're projecting a 6% increase on fertilizer and seed this year, which seems kind of high, but compared to the 18s and the 27s we've been talking about the past few years, we're pretty happy with that. So, and the only other thing that's gone into our budget is $17,500, which has come out of civic activities. Civic activities used to have like 4 lines in it. The main thing is the porta potties that we have around all the fields and in the parks and the off season. We've removed that from civic activities and put 17.5 into the parks operating budget and 1,500 into the recreation administration budget. So those are the drivers for parks. So now in the future, you won't see civil activities in the budget request at all. So rec administration, with that, we give $100,000 credit, which comes out of the self-sustaining fund that we use for fields. So that comes into this budget to help offset salaries like myself, Zach, Ryan's salaries under the parks budget. But we added more money in so that Zach, the recreation director, can go to the National Recreation and Park Conference. So that's $3,100. And we were looking for a part-time help to oversee field usage, which was $45,000. You can see that I've lined that out. It's in your budget request, but we think it would be best if it would be removed at the Board of Finance level. For a number.
So that would take it below 4.99% increase?
It would bring it down. Yes, the 4.99 this would lower it down, the 45,000 for all the park and rec budgets.
Right,
yes.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
Because it's still in there now, so that's why I left it there.
Got it. So wait, so the two things you added in is in there as well, and the 45,000 is in there as well, but you're going to take the 45,000 out and add the two line items.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically you're going to be removing overall 40,000.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yep. Overall 40,000 reduction. Got it.
Yep.
What about this self-sustaining fund? How much do you get? How much revenue do you generate from the self-sustaining fund on an annual basis?
Just over 100,000. So it's just a little bit more than what we are giving back. And
Okay.
we'll get to that just briefly, and but it's it's working well.
Great.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm looking at the budget book that we got under Recreation Administration, and it has an increase of 10.33 in the budget. Am I looking at the wrong line? I'm on page 17.
Unfortunately, we never get the books. So
Maybe
when you say
someone else could help me, because I'm under, page 18. If I turn the page, it says the Recreation Administration
Yes.
budget is up by 10.73.
Yes,
You're showing
you
a
are
figure of
you are
2.3.
correct. And the main reason it's gone up that 10.73 is that $45,000 we were looking for a park ranger.
Okay, so that's a different figure than you're showing here on this request of 2.33 increase. I'm just trying to make sense of how to integrate these two budgets that you're reporting.
And now I have to say, I do not know why I have 2.33 up there. 590, because that would be removing the 45,000, because you should have a number in your budget book of like 638.
Yes, it is
718.
615, but then it says that's a 10.73.
So this page must have removed the 40,000, 45,000 already to get it
Yes.
to 590.
Yes.
But I thought you said you wanted it to be removed at the Board of Finance level, not the Board of Selectmen, because our budget books are Board of Selectmen budget.
The Board of Selectmen put the 45,000 through to the Board of Finance,
Okay,
but we would like the Board of Finance to remove it.
Okay.
And just
Okay.
and remind us if the 45 is salary overtime for
Actually, no, it was going to be salary part-time. What
part-time.
we're trying to do is hire 2 to 3 people to be whether you want to call them security guards, field monitors, park rangers, whatever, to watch the fields during when we're not here. If Ryan and I are around and we see somebody that's not supposed to be out there, we'll go talk to them. But at times when nobody's here, no full-time people, we were looking to add a person. So, between 3 and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then 8 a.m. all the way to 7 p.m. on weekends.
So if that's removed at the Board of Finance level, who's paying for that then?
We won't be doing it.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
So John, is that the line, well, in our budget books, there's a line that's part-time salaries for 52,000.
Correct.
45,000 will come out of that and 7,000 will be remaining. Is that-
7,000 will be remaining, correct.
Okay.
Can I just ask, is there, why you decided to remove it? Is there a problem with people using the fields that you need to get some help with, or?
There's times, this actually goes back to Steve Benko, being that he was working 24 hours a day. He
Right.
did a lot of that in the off hours. We're of two minds. The Fields Committee, you know, we have a huge asset here, a lot of assets, you know, all these athletic fields, and improper use. It came up at during caffeine and carburetors. We closed all the fields during the time. And there was a group of people here playing on Sunday morning. They weren't New Canaan residents. They, you know, they just probably knew that the field was fairly empty on Sunday, so they came out to play.
Got it. So how do you, so what's the plan for dealing with that if you're cutting it out of your budget?
Well, there's a few reasons why we're cutting it out. Part of the reason is we're under a new mandate where the part-time worker can't work more than 19 hours a week. So then that becomes that we might need 2 or 3 people. We're worried about managing workers when there's no supervisor around. Will we get the quality? And we just going back, we decided we wanted to revisit it and let's get a better plan on what we can do and also see if we really need it. During the regular seasons, there's so many sports groups out there, they're packed. There's no way somebody could come and use the fields. You know, if soccer was scheduled to use the field, they would not let anybody else be out there, that type of thing. So we just want to get a better handle on it before we spend spend $45,000 on something we're not sure we can manage.
Right. There's also the people that man the paddle hut. That could be possibly something they could do and report. That's just a thought.
That's a good idea. Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? Just, are you at all concerned about the cost of the fertilizer going way up? Like if the tariffs go through, like, is there any contingency for that? Is there an expectation that could rise dramatically?
Really don't know yet if there is. We're already expecting a 6%, but a lot of our budget is also seed, and seed is all in the US, so mainly from Oregon. So we don't know. There's a chance, but I don't think we should speculate on it yet.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So Waveney House, basically you see reductions. Part of that is, you know, over the last couple of years, we're getting a handle on more and more things. So like the contract services we've reduced and major maintenance we've reduced. We're evaluating all of our appliances, you know, our commercial fridges and stoves and that type of stuff to make sure we don't need to do them. But major maintenance, we just haven't been spending the same amount of money that we'd been budgeted. So we've lowered that down to.
Good.
Yep. Paddle tennis. Again, we've been able to lower it. And the one thing we've changed in the budget is we've switched there was court maintenance and there was properties repair and maintenance. We've put it all under property and repairs and maintenance, and been able to reduce that number down by 15% and still offer quality courts. Park buildings.
Can I stop for 1 sec? How's the usage on the paddle in terms of your overall numbers, in terms of, you know, just usage of those courts?
It's there, especially now, you know, since we've gotten a little bit of snow and that type of stuff, we're seeing the usage back up again. When it's nice, more people are playing pickle than anything, but like today, the pickleball courts are locked until the snow melts off them. So we're seeing more usage then, but the usage isn't high enough to ask for the additional court. right now.
We're finding too that the membership numbers are pretty comparable to years past, but our program numbers on the program side for the recreation are actually down. So we're trying to figure out new programs to offer to try to get those numbers up. But membership numbers comparable, but program numbers on the rec side are down.
You talking
So-
about program for pickleball or paddle or?
This is about paddle. The question was for paddle.
Have you had to
Mhm.
cancel like clinics and stuff? That's what's undersubscribed at this point?
That is correct. Yes. What we do is we offer, say, 15, 20 clinics, right? And then say we'll sell out maybe a half or a quarter of them depending on. And then what we try to do is consolidate the classes to be able to still offer the programs. But in years past, we've had a little bit more retention rate than I guess now. And I don't know if people are deciding they just want to go out and play instead of do the programs, but memberships are about comparable, just the numbers are slightly down for the program side.
Thanks.
Can I ask, why isn't there a separate section for pickle yet? Good. In here.
The main reason is we don't need, since we have now the self-sustaining program, most of the budgets for like paddle tennis have gone into the self-sustaining. So since right now pickleball, we don't have any real maintenance that needs to go outside of the norm, you know, like the paddle courts need to be painted and the screens need to be adjusted each summer, that type of stuff, but we're not having that to do with pickleball.
Okay, and you guys you do have clinics and things like that.
Yes, but that the clinics and that all go through the self-sustaining fund.
Okay, thank you.
So
And how's that program going? The pickleball clinics?
Pickleball has been great. Yeah, since the self-sustaining fund, it's really allowed us to be able to offer more programs. So I mean, the courts are always packed. You go there right when March hits. If there's no snow on the ground, they're playing all the way through
Yeah.
until it snows. So it's been successful.
Well, John knows I used to play a lot of paddle and now I play pickleball. And I'll just make a quick comment. Paddle is more people converting from paddle to pickleball. And then this spring, it's crazy. People are it's gonna be packed. So we can get into later, but you know, obviously there's a momentum gaining for more pickleball courts because you know, one of the things I notice is that the pickleball programs, you know, they sign up and they block up 4 hours, but they don't have full attendance. And then all of a sudden there's an open court, but nobody knows about the open court because they booked 2 courts for 4 hours and they only use 1 court, except nobody knows. So I think we need to find a way to either get more courts or be more efficient when they block 2 courts for 4 hours to make sure that they don't use it, that they free it up. So that would be my comment on pickleball because it's going to be even crazier this coming year.
oh, I think so. I agree with you. It's, you know, so.
Yeah, I just want to say it dovetailing with what Michael said, I also converted from paddle to pickle. And so I'm on those courts a lot and I definitely see a demand for more courts. So like, we'll get into that later. But I think there was some maintenance that was needed on the pickleball courts. So hopefully that's being budgeted in the self-sustaining fund. There was some chipping of the courts and things like that. And then, you know, the whole thing with just maintaining that area, the landscaping that was put in the parking lot. Are we going to get into that later? Because that
We'll be, you know, 2 things. First, the painting, the surface, that was all covered under warranty from when they were first built. So that was taken care of that way. As far as the landscaping, et cetera, around there, now that Ryan has taken over as park superintendent, we got that under control. You'll notice a noticeable difference this summer.
that would be great. I mean, I was thinking, you know, the stuff that was put in needs to be maintained. Other than that, you could put in like ground cover that doesn't need any maintenance, but yeah.
No, Ryan's got it under control. You're going to notice a drastic difference this year.
Wow. Okay. I'm looking forward to that. Thanks.
We already noticed, just while we're talking maintenance of the pickleball courts, we've noticed some fence issues. And when I say fence issues, it's strictly from use. People
Yeah.
falling into the fence, it
Right.
happens. So we need to replace some fabric, but that's budgeted in capital too.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
So John, is there a way to kind of keep track of, you know, how much money from clinics and everything, and memberships goes into the self-sustaining fund and how much the total, I guess the total cost of maintenance is, so we can compare it on a pickle and on a paddle basis?
We actually, we do keep track of how much money's coming in from the clinics and everything, and we'll go through that and
Oh, great.
self-sustaining.
It's
As far as how much maintenance, we don't really keep it narrowed down, like, you know, when we're replacing fences, you know, we'll hire a contractor to replace fences at, let's say, the pickleball courts, but also maybe Mead baseball at the same time.
Oh,
So,
okay, so that's all gets nested into
yeah,
one repair bill.
yep.
Okay, I'm just trying to allocate like cost to maintain versus revenue.
So on page 109, there's a brief chart that just has, you know, revenue that came in for paddle. I'm looking for pickle. I don't see it for pickle.
Okay, but once we get through park buildings, Lapham and Kiwanis will be going into self-sustaining, and I might be able to, since I don't have the same page as you
Yeah.
have, unfortunately. So,
Thank you.
okay. So under park buildings, barely any increase, and we'd have a negative number if it wasn't for the fact of we needed to add 25,000 in for the CHP gas unit, and this is the one that's at Lapham Community Center. So we have the reductions of electricity, et cetera, but we do have to add that 25,000 in for that unit. And then we go into Lapham. We're seeing a little bit of an increase, and our main driver is we've been receiving a grant to extend the hours at Lapham, and it's been very successful. That grant will run out halfway through next budget year. So in order to keep that going, we'd need $12,000 to fund the grant. So if that's successful through the budget process, people want to do it, we'd be then the next year looking for another 12,000 for the other half of the year. But so that's the main thing. So without the grant, we'd be pretty much a level budget, 0.49% increase.
John, how are the program numbers at Lapham in terms of the signups and things like that and the usage of the facility?
They're full. They've come back. We're probably above pre-COVID numbers.
Wow.
You know, people are coming back. It's very successful. You know, Aggie and Kathy are doing a great job with their programs. We're very happy.
So how long is Lapham open now with this grant? What are the extended hours?
Exactly what the extended hours, I won't be able to tell you,
Yeah.
but it's extending it certain days, and it varies from day to day, or from week to week, I should say, depending on what program they're running and that type of stuff. It's not like to 8 o'clock at night. It's just, instead of ending at 3:30, that type of time, going to 5, 6. They've done some programs like before the concerts, they have food, that type of stuff. So it's been going well. People are interested. So
Great, thanks.
I've actually been interested in the return back to Lapham after COVID, when people were comfortable about leaving their homes and being in a social situation. And also the competition, I will say, with the library programs. And it's not really worked into the Lapham's percentage attendance. All right.
okay. So Kiwanis Park, 1.59% increase. You know, the budget for Kiwanis Park mainly takes care of lifeguards and the chemicals, et cetera, for the park. So this just gives you, and now I'm a little bit, I want to make sure the numbers are right, but that's basically our overall things that we were just talking about. So now going into the recreation fund, again, 100,000 goes back to the town general fund, which helps offset the rec administration budget. So
What's that percentage, John?
with the percentage overall,
It goes back, yeah.
I have no idea what the 100,000 is, but we'll get to the numbers.
Okay.
Just some of some of the many different programs. So there we go. So, you know, basically income, we're bringing in 1,229,000. That is our projected income, of course. And then our expenses are less than that. And this is for the recreation programs. This isn't the part of the self-sustaining fund that's for weddings and events. So what we regularly do is we work on the basis of a slight profit, just in case, you know, in case we need to add a couple more students, or we want to run a program where if the minimum's 10 and we only have 8, we want to be able to do that. So every now and then we might have a program that is losing money, but overall we try to have all of them make just a little bit of money.
So wait, this is not part of the self-sustaining program, the 1.2 million in income?
This is the self-sustaining
Okay.
program.
Got it. This is the self-sustaining.
This is self-sustaining. Yep.
Great.
So
This is a great story.
Yeah.
yeah. Where it's been really nice for us, it gives us the flexibility. Father-daughter dance, you know, last year, but we had such interest in the thing that we had a waiting list and we were able to add a second seating. You know, so since the income was coming in, it worked out well. When you need to add extra programs, you know, if there's a need for a before and after school program, we can do it without having to say, we can do that next year once we go through the budget process. So that's been a real help for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a game changer, this budget for us for program wise. It really exploded, which has been great. Overall, like even John said, like Breakfast with Santa this year, we're doing up to 4 seatings now, which is awesome. So we get the people and get them out. It's been great, but this has been an awesome addition for us for sure.
I saw the
Fantastic.
pictures from last night. I think it was last night at Waveney. It looked amazing. The father-daughter dance that Jane Benton did.
Yeah, Jane and the rec department combo that together. So we actually plan it together, and then Jane executes it for us, and it was a great showing, and they loved it. So it was awesome. That was on February 2nd. It was an awesome time.
Yeah, it looked like Waveney looked beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
So I'll be glad to answer any question about any particular program, but if you want to keep moving, we
John,
can too.
So this means when it says income, that's all the revenue from memberships, clinics, and everything? Is that all in?
Correct. So like the paddle tennis, the membership revenue is in there. Clinic revenue, sorry, is in there.
Okay, it's sure, just it looks like paddle tennis brings in a lot more money, even though there's like twice as many pickleball memberships. Is that true, or?
Zach, the number of memberships?
Yeah, if I look at the number of memberships, it's like 590 or something. Or is it 585 estimated?
For you're saying for memberships for paddle?
Yeah, for paddle and pickle. Like paddle tennis, it says, I think there's estimated 290. Are these memberships? Are these what?
Right, like it shows that there are actually more, seems like more memberships for pickle, but it's bringing in less
A
income.
lot less money. Yes,
Can
I
I ask
doubled.
what page you're looking at, guys? What page?
I'm looking at the budget book, page 106.
Thank you. Sorry, John.
It says paddle tennis 290 estimated. I don't know if that's members or, and then for pickleball, it's 585.
Okay. Without having that in front of me, I can't answer it. Zach, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I don't have that book. Right now I'm trying to find where you guys are looking at that.
In the back of the book, in the like summary section.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the budget book, so it's hard.
Unfortunately, we
do
don't.
not. I mean, I
Yeah,
can
it
tell you
says,
right now, Waveney Paddle right now for this year in total has 296 memberships is what we had.
Yeah,
And then for
that's in-
pickleball for last year, I'll give you those numbers. Let's see.
I like 570 or something around that.
Yeah, so 324 memberships, but within those memberships was 429 members is what we had for, this was in 2024, this previous year.
Right,
Okay.
so there-
What's the difference in the fee to be a pickleball, get
Yeah,
a
it's-
pickleball permit as opposed to a paddle permit? I don't remember.
Seems like it's a lot
So
less.
right now we made them all uniform. So we have a family membership, we have a youth We have an adult and a senior, and they're all uniform. So right now it's $300 for a family. It is, let me see, I think it's 140 for an adult.
So part of what else you're seeing in those numbers there is the guest fees if guests come out, but also the clinics. And this is where we to Mr. Chen's comment, we are already trying to limit our pickleball clinics, excuse me, just because there's too much interest from our regular members, and the frustration's hitting on I can't get a court, that type of thing.
Okay. Oh, so the difference in net revenue, it looks like you're saying probably is from clinics, a lot more paddle clinics than pickleball clinics.
Yes, and you know, especially with tennis, we have an awful lot of clinics with tennis. So that would be, without having those numbers in front of me, that is what I would think it would be coming from.
How's the tennis usage number in terms of permits?
I don't have the permit numbers in front of me.
I think
Zach.
there are two in the back.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm just wondering the revenue from that. Yeah.
I don't mean to jump the gun before we're talking about capital, but I am just curious. I'm sorry, I don't know the difference. How many total paddle tennis courts do we have currently versus how many pickleball courts?
Right now, we have 5 of both.
Total in the whole town?
And the total 5 of each. So there's,
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think we should talk about it later, but definitely paddle is kind of flattening out. Pickleball is just exploding, and we need to. I know there's been a lot of petitions on it. I haven't been involved in it, but I see just so many emails to me saying, you know, we need more pickleball, and I agree with them. It's just this year there's gonna be more than happy people if there's clinics taking up 2 courts, and then there's only 3 courts to play in the mornings on weekends, especially.
I think one of the reasons that we don't feel that we need quite as many clinics for pickleball is you don't have to be a great player and still have fun.
Yeah.
That sounds awful, but I think that's the nice part of it, is that you can go out there and still play. So you might not feel you need to have the clinics the same way.
Yeah, no, I will say
that.
I will say the clinics are mainly, because I go there and see the clinics are mainly for beginners.
Yep.
Right. So it's not any of the high level people that are taking the clinics, because, you know, all due respect, the person teaching is not a high level pickleball player, by the way. So the only people that take clinics from that person is beginners and you know, advanced beginners.
Exactly.
Which is fine. And there's no issue with that. But what I'm saying is there's going to be a huge demand for the courts that the clinics, maybe you should think about doing the clinics not on the weekends too.
We've been already thinking about, do we need to start reducing our clinics?
Right.
Like you said, they're more beginners. So as the beginners come through, do we need as many clinics?
Correct.
I'd like to just weigh in on that. So like, I think the courts open at 8. I think there is a demand for more advanced pickleball clinics. And I understand you have to balance that with the usage, but like if you did a clinic from like 8 to 9 in the morning, when I go on the courts at that time, it's not completely booked, but I think that there is a demand for more
advanced clinics. Yeah, I think there's.
And I don't know if there's any way to partner with another town, but it's nice to kind of contribute to people's growth as a player, no matter what the sport is. And I really like the fact that recreation already does that. And I know the paddle, I took a lot of paddle clinics and they were great. So people do want to grow as players. They just don't want to be, you know, doing the same thing over and over again. So if there's some way to put that in, because I know there's also groups that take up the courts, like the men's club and Encore are allowed to sign up for the courts for, I think, 3 days a week in the past. So if that was you know, cut back, I think it's important to have a balance between education and group usage, and then, as Michael's saying, individual usage.
Yeah.
So we do a pickleball league as well, which we added, which we found to be great. And those are more of like your advanced players that play in that. We also did a 1-day tournament in the summer this year, which we got a good turnout for as well. So we're going to try to do more of those type of 1-day tournament social events. And then while still adding like classes, the advanced classes, but still being mindful that it is a sport that is booming. We want to be able to let the residents play as much as possible. But for sure, that's definitely on the radar.
I think that's great.
Like a revenue stream could be, you know, a few more tournaments, and you might even get to the point where you could host one, like, with the pickleball association, that it, like, if you're not gonna over time make as much from the clinics, like the tournament thing is a good revenue stream, if that's.
For sure.
Yep.
Just one comment, if Kimberly, and I understand Kimberly was saying that have advanced pickleball clinics, I have names of people that are high-level pickleball instructors if you need that, because if you're gonna have advanced clinics, you're gonna need advanced teachers, is
For
what I
sure.
would say.
Definitely.
Which
That's good to know.
probably- right, so happy to help there.
Great, that's
That
awesome,
sounds
thank you.
good. Okay.
Great. But
So-
anyway, John, is there, we can get to it later. We'll get to it later, right? The capital expenditures?
Yes, we will.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yep. So I'm just jumping through a few things, but weddings, we do have the new wedding coordinator, Rachel Lampum. She's doing a great job selling Waveney House. And with some of our upgrades that we've been able to do, we have chairs, things like that. So we're
This, John, I just found out, I was at book club this week, and a friend of mine who's from New Canaan, but her son is the bride, and she's not from New Canaan, and they just picked Waveney for the wedding venue. So I'm so excited.
okay, good. Yeah. Waveney House has some limitations, but for the right people, it fits well. We're already booking in 2026. It's amazing how far out people are going, but it's good. So
How can you do that with the proposed improvements to the building?
right now we have blocked out from approximately the second week of December 2025 through March of 2026 to put the elevator in.
Boy, that's
Right now, since that was supposed to happen this year that we're in
Yeah,
right now, this
right.
winter, we weren't having any events. So we've opened it back up, but we have less events in the winter anyways, but even less when we were not going to be booking. So they're doing some of the elevator work, not in the main house, like in the attic and in the basement, right?
right,
So,
right.
yeah, and they're also they're converting the downstairs men's bathroom to a family bathroom, an ADA compliant family bathroom right now. So we're chipping away at those type of things.
How many weddings do you have a year?
Oh, geez.
About. This is not a test, John, just ballpark.
I actually have the chart someplace
Okay.
here.
Well, if essentially it's
In the back here.
the spring through, and until December, that's
Yep.
maybe 6 months.
Yeah,
To one wedding a weekend, right?
since 2012, we've been averaging 32.2 weddings a year.
Wow, that's a good number, 32.
So with that, 2020, we had one. So,
Right.
that's included in the average. So
Oh, that's including average, so you're probably
Yeah.
doing 36 to 40 then, huh? A year.
I'd say so. And I think we're going to do a lot more. Looking ahead at our bookings for this spring and next fall, there's no room for any more weddings, including, we have some community events, like we lose 2 weekends for the 4th of July fireworks, that type of stuff. But it's
Do
well.
you start booking them in March, April? When does it start?
March isn't super busy, but April starts it, and of course, May and June really
Okay,
packed.
right. So you might do 2 weddings in May and June, you're saying, possibly. Per
2
week. 2 a week.
2 and sometimes 3. We have weddings Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And
Wow.
noticing a lot more people are interested in the Sundays now. So,
Wow,
Yep.
that's great.
yep.
It's nice that the younger people are interested in actually tying the knot. That's a responsible decision. Sorry, I'm being cynical.
For younger people, Penny, maybe it's all kinds of.
How much does it cost to rent Waveney?
Well, there is going to be new fees.
Good.
It's a rotating schedule. There's when I say rotating schedule, there's a different amount for residents and non-residents. So depending on the time of the year, but the high numbers, the new numbers will be for a resident April, July, 6,500 to 7,500, whether it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And then the non-residents will be 75 to 8,500 during those same times.
That's not too bad.
That's still very
But-
reasonable.
It is very reasonable. Our limitations are that we don't have one big room. So, you know, we max out at 160 people. So that's probably the biggest limiting factor when you want to have the cutting of the cake, that type of stuff. Unfortunately, people have to gather around the doorways. So, and a lot of people want to have more than 160 people at their wedding. So, of course, they have to hire their own caterer, their own DJ, all that type of stuff. So it still adds up.
Yep. Great.
Steve Banco Pool, as I'm sure you're all aware, that's a in a way, it's its own self-sustaining fund. It's all run on its own. So we're looking at a 2.92% increase in that budget. And that more than anything, it's lifeguards. The minimum wage has gone up again, so there's a little bit there, and that's it. So
Is it,
now we'll get
still-
into
is it still self-sustaining
it's still self-sustaining, yes.
and funds going into I guess a sinking fund for repairs and a new pool at some point in time in its life, you know?
Exactly. Like last year, we had to have the parking lot redone.
Right.
And
right.
that came out of that money. So, you know, it's the users of the pool who paid to keep it going.
Does that include staff too? It's not just maintenance?
I missed the first part.
Does the self-sustaining include staff as well as maintenance?
Yes,
Yeah.
except for like Steve Dayton, who's in salary for the town. You know, he's the pool manager. We don't try to separate out any of his salary going to it. But other than that, all the staff, whether it's maintenance or lifeguards, goes into the pool fund.
I'm confused. The self-sustaining, and what's the 581,115? Is that part of the self-sustaining fund?
That's our operating budget. So that's all covered by what membership fees we have coming in, memberships and guest fees. So that's how much we want to run the pool.
Got it, but that is not including the self-sustaining.
It's
Fine.
it's not in the field self-sustaining. The pool sits in its own. We probably should stop using the word self-sustaining, but it sits in its own fund, the way it was built and paid off the loan back to the town and everything. Everything is right there. So if we need to fix the roof at the pool building, it has to come out of the money from memberships coming in.
It's called an enterprise zone where
Thank
it's a self-sustaining business within itself.
But I think is the 2.92% increase. Is that increase, is that money, the 581K coming out of that fund?
Yes.
So wait, so just to be clear, so this is not part of the overall New Canaan operating budget that we need to budget for a cost.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, that's my question. All right, great.
Okay. Now we get to the fun stuff. And I'm starting with park capital equipment before we get into the infrastructure, just because this is pretty easy. I hope. So vehicle with accessories, it's replacing one of the park maintenance trucks. The ride-on mower is a 0-turn mower. We try to replace one a year. The stand-up machine is a new machine, a new ad we'd like to have. And there's a picture of that type of machine. This one happens to be Boss, but we're not sure which one we'll buy. That can have a snowplow on it. You can have like a picture on the left as a rotating brush and a snow blower. And we'd use this mainly in places like up in town, up at town hall, train stations, and where we need a smaller machine to get through, that type of stuff. So that. And then the other two things, a 10-foot out front rotary, that's replacing one that's over 10 years old. And the tractor is replacing one that we estimate is around 45 years old. So. Good. Okay. Now we can go right into the infrastructure. Now that's probably the whole page you're looking at. For our discussion, I was going to mainly talk about the ones that are presently in this year's request. So field improvements, that's mainly used for baseball and softball infields. For a number of years, we've been asking for $60,000. Now with Capo Field no longer being a baseball field, and also one of the men's softball fields not there, we don't feel we need as much for those. Irrigation upgrades. We're requesting 175,000 because we're finally at a point in time. We've gone out to bid for Mead Park replacement and Saxon Connor, and we've received those bids back. We have enough money to do all of Mead Park, and we need 175 to be able to do Saxon Connor this summer when school's out, to replace all the sprinklers and piping there. So, and then over the years, we've been requesting money. This will take in consideration using up all that previously approved money so that we can really get these replaced. So we're in a good place there. Exterior wall repair, that's continuing in the program up here at Waveney, around the house more than anything, but all the walls, the brick walls are 100 years old. It's time to have them repaired. So playground updates, we're looking for 30,000. We found that we have some issues at Kiwanis Park that we need to correct. The 30,000 will correct those issues. It's not at a point where we feel we need to replace the playground per se, which would be a lot more than that. You can see I've X'd out the Kiwanis splash pad design. We were looking to try to put a splash pad down at Kiwanis. The Board of Selectmen, which makes sense to me, has removed that, and one item we'll get to further, out of the budget, with the hopes of getting a committee together and figure out basically a master plan for Kiwanis before we put in anything that might not make sense. So that's why that's been taken out. Fence backstop replacement, we briefly talked about it, but like the fences down at the pickleball courts and a lot of fences on the fields, need to be replaced. So that's why we're looking for that. The water fountain's been an ongoing project, and this will be the end of it, which is kind of nice. With this $9,000, we'll be able to put in a fountain down at the track itself at the high school. It's quite involved. We're going to need to have, tap into a water main and everything, but that will be a good addition for the track and the farm road fields. So Dunning Stadium. So that's for upgrades to Dunning. We took over Dunning, I think 2 years ago, the maintenance of it from the high school. And so this is for upgrades there.
Is there not 100? Don't we share that with the private group, or no? We do take care of 100% of the cost now.
We now take care of, the town takes care of the maintenance of Dunning. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, and with that, you can see the next one, bleacher repairs. Now, this number, I'd like to be here saying to you guys that I don't need $100,000. I don't think we're going to need $100,000. We found some issues with the bleachers. We're still waiting on a final quote for the repair of those. I'm hoping that we don't need 100,000, but I don't want to ask for less and not be able to fix them, because if we can't fix them over the summer, we'd be at the potential of having to close the home side bleachers. So we really need to make sure we can get that done this summer.
And John, none of that is covered by New Canaan Athletic Foundation. There's no contribution for this ongoing maintenance.
Not for ongoing maintenance, no.
Okay.
So
Is that for Capo as well? No contribution for Capo either.
Not that I know of at this point in time.
Okay, so just for building the place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they are putting money away is for the replacement of the carpets themselves. So when they come due, which in years out, we're getting closer and closer to start needing to be replace the carpet, the surface. So they're putting money away for that. So
What's the cost comparison of carpet to bleachers?
I'm sorry?
I'm joking a little. Cost comparison, carpet to bleachers.
Carpet will be, we're looking, getting up towards $1 million a field now, unfortunately. So. AEDs outdoors. We've been fortunate to have.
Sorry, John?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's a capital improvement, there's improvement plans on the stadium itself. I forgot if you know, does that include the bleachers, or does the grand improvement plan not include bleachers, so they have to be repaired anyway? So just hate to pay for repairs that are going to be ripped out in 6 months anyway.
makes perfect sense. Their plans do not include bleachers. If they decide to put anything in for bleachers that they've originally talked about, it would be adding more bleachers, not actually repairing the ones that we have or replacing them at this point.
Oh, okay. I just don't want it up paying for repairs that are going to get ripped out.
It makes perfect sense to me.
John, question about the basketball courts in Kiwanis. Was that a potential use? You said that there's going to be a usage study about how to use Kiwanis. How many, was that a full court or a couple courts, or?
That's one existing court that's there that the surface is in bad shape. And that was to rebuild that court down at Kiwanis Park. And the Board of Selectmen said, let's get a committee together. We have a lot of knowledgeable people in New Canaan. Let's figure out what basically a master plan for Kiwanis before we do any of these things. So
Thanks.
Yep. So the AEDs, we've been fortunate that through a grant from Norwalk Hospital, we've had AEDs outdoors at our playing fields during the warm part of the year. These are coming at the end of their life, and the grant is coming to an end. And in order to replace those, we'd need $30,000 so that we could have, I believe, 15 units that we need to replace with the outdoor boxes. Waveney Trail reconstruction, ongoing of just rebuilding our trails, including using the new material for the surface. Picnic tables and benches, basically here, there, and everywhere. Unfortunately, picnic tables and benches have gone up in price. We do receive a lot of donations for the wooden benches that you see throughout the parks, but there's still need for other benches here and there. So track resurfacing, that's one of the ones that is coming up, and we'll need to be recoating the whole track, but this is for cleaning the track surface and repainting the lines that are out there. Pickleball courts at Waveney. So this is an overview of Waveney Park. Where my mouse is, which I think you'll be able to see, is the pool. And then, even though that says that's where the pool is there, that's where the paddle courts are in the park. Dog park's down here. So we're looking for putting pickleball in this grass area, which shows up a little bit better here. It's not to scale. It's not designed per se. That's just a square in the approximate location we're looking to put in there. What we want to do is we want to install 4 pickleball courts with lights. We're very fortunate that up at Waveney, we don't have neighbors that would cause problems as far as sound for pickleball. We have received some complaints down at Mead, and we think this would be a great addition because we get requests for opening the courts up earlier in the morning for people that are commuting to get a game in early, and of course into the evening. And if our winters stay like they have been, I see pickleball being played almost all year round.
No, look, I think there's you get a lot of support for that, not only from the committee here, but I think it's just, this is where the sport is going, where people of all ages are playing it. The question I would have is, why only 4? The demand's going to be there for more than 4. Can we fit 5, or does the space only allow for 4?
We'd love to go to 6 if we could. Yeah. It's the area hasn't been designed yet as far as how we'd fit them in there. So that's why we're looking at the 4. We also have heard of a new temporary surface that in the off season of paddle that you can put on the paddle courts for pickleball. It's not like you can take it out today and put it back tomorrow, but you could put it out, for the summer season. So,
Interesting.
Interesting.
I agree with Michael. I mean, there's a huge demand. I guess one of my questions is that is a very busy area, and I understand you've got the hut there so people could use that, but it is between a parking lot and a road, and then the dog parks. There are lots of people walking by, and then the sound that could travel to the patrons at the pool.
Right.
It's something that was brought up to me that some people were concerned about that. So I guess my overall question is, did you think about adding anything at Mead instead to keep pickleball all in one central area rather than splitting it up? So like if a team wants to play, some of them might end up in Waveney, some might end up in Mead rather than keeping everyone together.
we did look at Mead. There's not a great place to do it unless we were to take away a tennis court. The other issue we have at Mead is we do get some complaints for sound. Like during when the days get longer, we actually have to lock up the courts because otherwise people will be out there at 5, 6 in the morning. And that's when we get the most complaints.
Right.
So, and the fact that we're not sure we'll be able to get permission to light them down at Mead, since it's basically in a residential area. So we think that's very important. We did look at the sound as far as the pool, and we don't think it's going to be a problem because the pool sits down below. Most of the grass area is down below. There's trees all in there, evergreen trees. So there's a buffer. And if they're in this area, there's even these trees here, but this is all evergreen trees right along there. And with the people sitting down lower, we don't think there'll be a sound issue.
I haven't seen the sound issue when I was playing paddle there, so and hearing people playing paddle from the pool area. So I don't think there'll be an issue. I think your 6-court idea is a good one, and I think having lights is critical. Because I think you're going to put 4 there, and then the next 2 years later, someone will say, "Can you expand it?" Right? So why do a 2-step process? I mean, just an example. I'm down here in Naples in a place that has 68 public courts, the largest public courts, and then in a community that has 14 private courts, so 82 courts, and they're booked all the time. Like that's how fast this sport is exploding. The demand is just it's just going crazy across the country. And I would think that if you do 6 now, at least you're ahead of the game rather than trying to do 4 and then demand for more courts in a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the big added benefit also is they could at least share the HUD so that, people will have somewhere to go to. I know I've received some emails on potentially building something, in addition to the HUD, a viewing area or a platform. I'm much more inclined to get economies of scale and put improvements into the HUD if they serve not only pickle, but paddle also. So it's just seems like it's a win-win for both.
Well, we look at
sorry, good.
We look at the hut as underused. It's used this time of year a lot with paddle, but it'd be great to be using it for something in the summertime too. So that's why we thought this is a great location for it.
I mean, dovetailing with Michael's comment about, the explosion, and I think I have a friend that's down there, Michael, you might know him. His name is Eric. He's on town council. I don't know, you see him playing. He said he plays pickleball on the courts in Naples.
Yeah.
Is there any thought to shifting around any of the other stuff at Waveney, like the dog park, to make more room for pickle and shifting around the usage of that small area of land so that you could put in more pickleball courts?
What I'd have to say is we're not at a point where we've designed them in there per se. So, when you see my blue square there, that's just to show you the location. That's not really to show you how we're laying them out or anything else. We've been talking to Keith Simpson about coming up with the best way to locate them in there, still be able to put some landscaping around so they blend in with the environment. And we will go in and talk about the pickleball plaza that was proposed, that the Park and Rec Commission recommended that this isn't a priority for them without further investigation. So this is not in this year's budget, but basically what this includes is this is the proposed additional paddle court that at one point in time was thought to be needed right this present time. We don't think it's going to be. So this would basically stop at the existing courts. But this whole plaza area here was going to be raised up. It's not going to be like a decking. So when people talk about it being a viewing area, it will be, because it will be raised up so you can see onto at least 3 of the paddle courts fairly easily, and make it a nicer area with benches. And there's even part of their proposal is to have propane fire pit type things just while you're sitting out there. So this all started from a few after Steve Banco passed away. The senior men and a few other groups raised some money to try to have a Steve Banco picnic area, and this kind of morphed from there. But right now, the Park and Rec Commission did not want to make this a priority. They feel that pickleball is a much more important thing for this area first.
Yeah, that I agree for sure.
I would suggest that Keith Simpson look into what would be attenuating the sound. When in the summertime, when some people at the country club do play paddle tennis, and I sit out on my porch, I can hear every single ball that is, played. And it's kind of an annoying sound because it's a sharp, high-pitched sound. So if that can not bother the swimmers at the pool, I'm sure they would appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they can hear Penny, but you would check. But I'm pretty sure playing paddle is far enough away, and like John says, the trees and it's down lower, that I've been there and on both sides and haven't heard paddle. At least obviously there's no pickle there, but I think there's a significant noise barrier between the paddle courts now and the pool.
I think Penny, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're talking about pickleball. The sound from pickleball's the paddle sound
Yes.
is very minimal.
Right.
Penny's talking about if they put
Oh,
pickleball.
you're
So
talking
that
about
was-
pickleball.
That
Okay.
was one
Right.
of the reasons that I was suggesting,
Right.
looking at the land usage there where the dog park is. If the pickleball courts went on the other side of the paddle courts, that would be far away from the pool. And that was just one of the reasons I suggested that. But, given that you're already getting complaints at Mead, it is kind of a national issue. So, it's hard to tell, whether that's going to affect the people at the pool or not. But people do sit right near the diving board. There's a grassy area where a lot of people sit and enjoy their summertime and things like that.
We should test it for sure. We should test the noise.
I agree. It's a
I was
good
gonna say,
idea.
the industry with the growth, obviously that they're run into problems in the design of some of the courts. And so how the complaints been addressed?
Yeah,
It's been around long enough to have those kinds of thought processes, come up with solutions.
yeah.
They do 3D printed soundless basketballs. Maybe we just got to get a 3D printed pickleball that's soundless and we'll solve it all. There
They're
we go.
working on it, but I don't know if anyone's using it yet. Michael, are they using it? The
Not
soundless ball?
yet. Not
No, I
yet.
don't think so.
Let's get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, maybe
Right.
someone here could invent one.
Not to be devil's advocate about this, but I mean, again, like of all the places, I think the difference is Mead is near actual residential and homes. Waveney, that pool, like, I mean, a lot of kids making noise, having fun. It's not totally like a peaceful, tranquil place. And I'm curious, is there music at Waveney Pool?
No.
Okay. So just
My thought initially, I haven't been to the pool, but I would think there's a fairly high noise level just from kids running around and stuff already. So I don't know if there's a relaxing area there.
not where I go to chill out.
I think, knowing the concern now is better, so we can check into it more. I don't think it will be a big idea, but I'm not a sound engineer, so, but we can definitely look into it more.
That with Lance.
That's kind of where I was going. It's the industry's been around long enough that problems have been addressed.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and John, just a question, is anyone going to consult that's actually a pickleball expert? I know Keith is a landscape architect, but when you do move, if you do move forward with this, someone who's experienced and where what direction to place the courts. And I know some residents wrote to us about wanting trees, other residents don't want trees, you know, in terms of the shade. And I know you have to balance all that out, but
That's right. You know,
so
from a
there,
maintenance point of view, we'd love no trees. You know, from a player's point of view, if you could be in the shade, it would be helpful. So yes, we've already talked to one of the big local companies here is Hinding, who built the ones down at Mead Park, about the best location or best direction and all that. And we're gonna have him and Keith Simpson.
Yeah, and I'll
Coordinate
be
on that.
happy. I think John, I originally referred that company to you guys,
Yes.
the town,
Yep.
to build the original pickleball courts. But I'll be happy to help because there's some big, like having the paddle courts go east-west is a big problem. I think we need to go north-south, as Kimberly says, because it is just a major sun issue when you go
Yeah.
east.
I'd
on
be
the
happy
court.
to help with that too, because I had actually heard in retrospect that they could have put the courts at Mead in a different
Same
direction.
thing, east-west
I'm not
instead
an
of
expert.
north-south.
Yeah, right. So
Right.
that placement from someone that's actually an expert in the pickleball design of the courts, you know, in addition to the landscape architect, I think is super important.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
and
good.
I'll just tell you a story. A lot of pickleball construction companies put it on purpose east-west, knowing that in a few years they're going to ask them to switch to north-south so they get more business. So
That's a
yeah, you
good
know, I'm
point,
not saying
Michael.
that Hendy does that. I'm just saying that you don't necessarily want, you know, pickleball designers or builders to give you recommendations because they're focused on how they can come back and make more money.
Yeah,
That's a very good point.
That's
Yep.
cynical, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's happening all over Florida where they're switching out the ways they're doing it now for that reason.
Okay.
So, but look, I applaud it, you, John, for doing this and your team. And I think lights are important. I think that's why I think Waveney is the right place because of the lights.
we get a lot of requests to open them up early in the morning
Yeah.
down at Mead, and unfortunately, anytime we have, it's come back to the sound complaints. So
Yeah, no, the great job, John, and I think it's well, you guys are thinking ahead, so thank you.
yep.
Yeah, so John, the pickleball courts, wait a minute, it says it's 200. Is that for 4 courts, 6 courts?
That,
What was
that number we're estimating for 4 courts with lights, and we'd use a similar system at Mead as in Mead Park. It'd be post tension concrete, which eliminates the need for, well, it lasts and lasts and lasts. So that's the part that the concrete surface will hold up. But with that, I'd say we should look into 6 and
Yeah.
see about the design and fitting them in. So
Great.
basketball court, we briefly mentioned it, but that's to replace the existing court at Mead Park. The Board of Selectmen cut that out I'm sorry, I say Mead Park, Kiwanis Park. The basketball court's at Kiwanis Park. So now we'll get to a pavilion at Waveney Park. So over by the existing bathrooms, the outdoor bathrooms right here, the skating rink this time of year is here. This is the girls' orchard field. In this area right in here, we put a tent every year for summer camp now. We've basically moved them out of Waveney House except when there's storms, and we put them out on the fields out there for summer camp. With that, we'd love to build a picnic pavilion. We do not have an exact design. That's why I just showed 2 here, but we'd be looking for something that would be basically 30 by 60 that would have picnic tables for the 6 weeks of summer camp. We'd use it for that. And the rest of the year, we'd probably rent it out for people to have picnics, etc. So.
Just real quick on this pavilion from a summer camp perspective, this would be a game changer for us. We've upped our camp. Now we're up to 125 kids. I think they were at 60 prior. And obviously the Waveney Park's great. You get that Waveney Park breeze, but sometimes you definitely need the shade. So we do have the tent right now, but a structure like this, a pavilion would be great. And like John mentioned too, for rentals, whether it's birthday parties, whether it's picnics and stuff like that, they could be a game changer for us and definitely for the town too.
Is this the girls' softball field I'm looking at?
That's the girls' orchard field, yes.
Okay, and so we right there. On the way to the men's softball field, right? Right
Yep,
there.
the men's softball field's right over in this
Yeah,
area.
over there, right. No,
Yep.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. Is there some way to make it not concrete on the bottom and maybe like a material that blends in more with the grass so it's aesthetically kind of
We-
blends in more?
Well, the two things we're looking at, you see these two pictures sitting on just gray concrete. We thought about asphalt, but it just won't hold up well. So what we're thinking about with the concrete is you can get it colored.
Right,
So, so it doesn't have that white,
right.
bright, ugly look. But the
Right.
reason we like the concrete is it will hold up over time. So we just don't,
And-
we'd love to have it colored.
And you
Great.
can just hose it off.
Hose it off, you could scrape gum off it and things like that. We can pressure wash it if it's colorized concrete instead paint doesn't hold up well to it, things like that. So yeah, we think it'd be good.
Right.
Okay, so we're at 10:15 or so. I know somebody had to hop off at 10:30. Was that you, Michael?
No, but that's, yeah, I think we're almost done, right, John?
We're pretty close to the stuff that I'd
Okay.
like to go through.
All right,
If we go back to our list, there's the Dunning Stadium enterprise zone. This $2 million, Tiger would be better off to speak to you on that, but it's for the ADA and also safety concerns in the parking lots per se of Dunning Stadium.
right.
So that's what that is. And then the Waveney Park.
And that's not jointly funded by the New Canaan Athletic Foundation?
Not at present.
Oh.
This, I believe, is felt should be a town's obligation because it's the safety of people in the parking lot, not really the athletic portion of Dunning Stadium or the other fields around there.
Okay.
So, and then the last one is Waveney Park Conservancy. This is the $300,000 that's been allocated to them for different projects in Waveney Park for the last number of years.
Is there a breakdown of the 2 million for Dunning Stadium Enterprise Zone or?
I do not. That's Tiger.
Okay.
A part of it, I believe, needs to be done because of the ADA requirements.
Yeah, just curious if there's any breakout, because that's a big number, obviously, so.
It's a big number, yes.
So there's gonna be questions I'll tell you the Board of Finance on.
Okay, I will,
On that.
when we go through capital at the Board of Finance level, I know I'll be sitting there with Tiger. and
Okay.
So, he'll be taking care of that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I just have a question about the Waveney Park for Ryan. I know there's some work going on there now, and some residents had asked us about it. Is that coordinated with the Parks Department, what they do in the trails?
It's coordinated through Public Works, the Conservancy, and is doing that. That's all it's more than anything, it's invasive plant removal.
Mhm.
And it's clearing out the woods. It is quite extensive. We're not going to disagree with you there. We've been getting questions about it too. But
Yeah,
the contract's actually done through Public Works.
oh, okay. I was just curious, and maybe it's Public Works, but is there any way to notify residents when there's a big project like that going on? Because we've been getting a lot of questions on town council from residents just asking about it. Is there any way to, using the Everbridge system or something, notifying residents, oh, these trails are going to be worked on from this time to that time, or just something to that effect?
I think mainly they want to use Everbridge for emergencies more than just notifications like that. But I know I saw an article, I believe, in the New Canaanite about the work coming up. But I think what happens is you glance through the article, me too, you don't read the whole thing and you really don't understand the extensiveness of the project.
Yeah, I think that's true, John. The Everbridge, the first selectman has a newsletter, and then other departments have newsletters, like
Yep.
the health department has one, and they can do push out messages if people opt in for
Yep.
information. So there might be a way for the Parks Department or Public Works, and I don't know if Public Works does it. I get updates from them. They're not emergency updates. It's like road
Yes.
closures. And so to add in major projects that are going to be ongoing for a while, just so that residents are aware, to somehow, develop a communication loop with them.
Okay, I would definitely mention it to Tiger. you know, it makes sense.
Do we have details for the Waveney Park Conservancy, what that entails as well?
No,
Mm-mm.
I don't, at least.
Great.
I know they haven't spent their last year's 300,000 because they're working on the design of the change in trail down along the Merritt Parkway. So, which is probably a very expensive project. So I know that's what they're working on as far as designing right now.
But like, John, they never asked for any more than that, right? It's been a constant for a long time, correct?
To my knowledge, they've never asked for more than the 300,000.
Yeah.
So.
And I just want to add, Jen, they've presented to us, I think it was before you came on the council, but I don't know if they're coming this year, but they will come and talk to
Yeah.
us.
They
No,
will.
last they did. Steve Beshenstein did.
Okay, you remember.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, John?
I don't have anything else, but I'll be glad to answer any other questions that I can.
No, this is great. This is very helpful, very productive. I think you guys are doing
Can
a
I,
great job, John.
Penny, was there something, did the town players building, is that fall under this?
It
That's
does-
separate, I think.
Yeah, that's under, that's under the public works section of
Right.
capital. It's
Okay.
not part of the parks infrastructure.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Okay, I think this is great too, John. You have a really complicated budget. So you did a great job. Thank you for answering all my questions and everyone else's.
Yeah,
Oh, no, appreciate the time.
I just, a question about Kiwanis Park, that whole revamp, who is spearheading that project?
We're still working on it. Right now, I've talked to George Bennington, the chairman of the Park and Rec Commission. He's looking at some members from that. I know that Amy from the Board of Selectmen, she'd like to be involved. Keith Simpson, since he did some work down at Kiwanis many years ago, said he'd like to be involved. So we're looking at trying to have a wide range of people on a committee to look at Kiwanis Park in general.
I
So,
wonder if you should try though also to have like some younger like demographics and that too, people with, it seems like from the ones you mentioned there, the one thing that's not kind of covered in that is, people with kids who use it a lot.
which is nice because that's one of the things George and I talked about when we were talking about, commission members that might be good to go on there. So, yeah, well, those are some names that have come up so far. It hasn't been formalized. And at this point in time, I'm not sure if it's going to come underneath the Board of Selectmen, a committee from them, or come under Park and Rec.
Mhm.
It was the idea that there would be no improvements to Kiwanis until that plan is finalized, I would assume.
The thought was, why do these improvements if they might need to be removed, especially like a basketball court? What if that's not the best location for it? So, and what I said to the Board of Selectmen is I really would have liked to have a comprehensive master plan for Kiwanis Park, but unfortunately, the numbers for something like that are upwards of $500,000 by the time you're done with community involvement. And that's when they said, we've got a lot of very smart people living in this town. We should be able to do something on our own.
Does
So,
the Y still do camp? Do they still do
Oh,
camp?
yeah.
yeah.
Huh, okay.
The Y has a lease. I believe it was a 5-year lease. They've got a couple more years on their lease down there, but they've been down doing camp there for a
Forever.
long time. So,
Good.
So John, if we have people who might be interested in joining that committee, do we contact you or do we contact, I guess, the Board of Selectmen or?
you feel free to contact me. I'll be glad to share that with the commission, with George Bennington and Deanna, anybody that you might be interested. Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Right.
So
Great.
Thanks.
Okay, everybody.
yeah,
We,
great, thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And John, like I said, on the pickleball Waveney course, Kimberly and I will be happy to help and assist any way you want.
sounds
on
good.
the plan.
Appreciate that.
Okay, great job.
Okay, and
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Great job.
Great.
John,
Thank you.
John, will you disconnect us?
I got to stop the recording and I will turn us off.
Okay. Very good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Bye.